This story is said to be true, and it remains one of the most baffling and inexplicable cases that has ever landed on the desks of law enforcement. Even today, investigators are left scratching their heads, unable to provide a logical explanation for what happened. It's a tale that blurs the lines between reality and the unknown. A mystery that challenges everything we think we know about time and space. Our story begins in 1987, in a quiet, unassuming small town nestled in the Spanish countryside. Life here was simple, predictable. Neighbors knew each other. Children played freely in the streets, and the biggest news was usually the local harvest. It was in this peaceful setting that a young boy named Juan lived with his family. He was a bright, energetic child, known for his infectious laughter and his love for playing outdoors. One ordinary afternoon, just like any other, Juan asked his mother if he could go outside to play. The sun was shining, and he was eager to enjoy it. His mother agreed, telling him to stay close to the house where she could see him. She watched him run out the front door, a small ball in his hand, and disappeared just around the corner of their home. She glanced at the clock, making a mental note of the time. 15 minutes passed. It was a short span of time, barely enough to finish washing the dishes or fold a load of laundry. But when Juan's mother called out for him to come back inside, there was no answer. A sense of unease began to creep in. She stepped outside, expecting to see him kicking his ball or chasing butterflies. But the street was empty. He was gone. Paniquet. She frantically searched the immediate area, calling his name over and over, her voice growing more desperate with each passing moment. He couldn't have gone far. He was only gone for 15 minutes. She would later tell the police, her voice trembling with a mix of confusion and terror. Just 15 minutes. The local police were called immediately. They treated it as a high-priority missing person case. A wide-scale search was launched, involving officers, volunteers, and eventually, national authorities. They combed through every inch of the town and the surrounding fields and forests. Search dogs were brought in, helicopters scanned the landscape from above, and divers checked nearby rivers and wells. Investigators went door to door, questioning every single neighbor. Had anyone seen Juan? Did they notice any strange cars or unfamiliar people in the area? The answer was always the same. No. No one had seen anything out of the ordinary. It was as if the boy had simply vanished into thin air from right in front of his own home. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. The investigation yielded no leads, no suspects, and no trace of Juan. The posters with his smiling face, once plastered on every lamppost and shop window, began to fade and tear. For his family, the pain was unbearable. They lived in a constant state of limbo, caught between hope and despair. How could a child disappear in broad daylight, in just 15 minutes, without a single witness? Eventually, with all leads exhausted and no new evidence to pursue, the authorities had no choice but to close the case. It was officially classified as a definitive disappearance. Juan was presumed to be gone forever. Another tragic, unsolved mystery. His family was left to grieve without closure, haunted by the question that would never leave them. What happened to their son? Life moved on, as it always does. The small town grew and changed. New families moved in, new buildings went up, and the world outside transformed at a dizzying pace. The internet was born. Mobile phones became commonplace, and the 20th century gave way to the 21st. The story of the boy who vanished became a piece of local folklore, a sad tale whispered from one generation to the next. And then, 30 years later, the impossible happened. In 2017, a man walked into the very same police station that had handled Juan's disappearance 3 decades earlier. The officers on duty looked up, slightly puzzled. The man was dressed in clothes that were distinctly out of style, the kind of jeans and t-shirt that were popular in the 1980s. But it wasn't his clothing that was most striking. It was his face. He had the youthful, almost boyish features of someone barely out of his teens. Yet there was a strange, lost look in his eyes. He approached the front desk and spoke in a calm, slightly confused voice. "Where did you go?" he asked the officer. "I just went to play for a little while, and now I'm back." The officers were baffled. The man looked to be no older than 17 or 18. He spoke as if he had just stepped out for a moment and returned to find everything had changed. He identified himself as Juan, the boy who had disappeared in 1987. The investigators who were old enough to remember the case were summoned. They were skeptical, to say the least. It had to be a cruel prank, or perhaps someone with a mental health issue. But as they began to question him, their skepticism quickly turned to shock and disbelief. This young man, who called himself Juan, had no knowledge of modern technology. He looked at a smartphone with complete bewilderment. He had never heard of the internet, social media, or even the euro, which had replaced Spain's old currency years ago. His entire frame of reference was stuck in the 1980s. He was able to recall details from that time with stunning accuracy. He described his family, his home, his friends, and the layout of the town as it was in 1987. He remembered specific events and conversations that only the real Juan could have known. He spoke of TV shows that hadn't aired in decades and pop songs that had long since faded from the charts. The investigators knew they had to be sure. They located Juan's surviving family members, who were now elderly. The emotional reunion was something no one could have prepared for. They saw in this young man the face of the child they had lost so long ago. To confirm his identity beyond any doubt, a DNA test was ordered. The results came back, and they were conclusive. A 100% match. This was, without a shadow of a doubt, the same Juan who had disappeared 30 years prior. But this incredible confirmation only deepened the mystery. The most bewildering part was yet to come. A thorough medical examination was conducted to assess his physical and mental state. The doctors were astounded. According to their tests, while 30 years had passed on the calendar, Juan's body had barely aged. Physically and biologically, he was still a teenager. He had not aged a day over 30 years. It was medically impossible, a complete defiance of the laws of nature. The case was immediately reopened. But where could they even begin? Juan himself had no answers. From his perspective, no time had passed at all. He remembered playing near his house, feeling a strange, disorienting sensation. And then, he was back. For him, the 15 minutes his mother had counted was all the time that had elapsed. The 30 years in between were a complete blank. Where was he? What happened in that missing time? And the most profound question of all, how did he return, physically unchanged, after 3 decades? To this day, the case of Juan remains open. It is a file that sits in a Spanish police archive, a testament to a mystery that science and logic cannot solve. Theories have been proposed, of course, ranging from the fantastical to the scientific. Was he abducted by beings not of this world? Did he somehow slip through a wormhole, a tear in the fabric of space-time, and experience a massive time dilation effect, where minutes for him were decades for everyone else? Whatever the explanation, his story serves as a chilling reminder that there are things in this universe that we simply do not understand. It forces us to question the nature of time, reality, and our place in the cosmos. If a story like this could be real, if law enforcement and science are left completely stumped, it makes you wonder, what else is being hidden from us? What other truths are out there, just beyond the edge of our perception, waiting to be discovered? What do you think really happened to Juan? Was it a temporal anomaly, an alien abduction, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring the world's greatest unsolved mysteries, make sure to follow this channel for more stories that will challenge everything you think you know. Thanks for watching.